Hey YouTube, hold on. Hey YouTube, what's going on? We are out here in the Ruckus garage. This is actually the other shop. This is where I do actual work things and not like fun stuff on my own cars. But anyways, this is kind of fun. We got a new CNC machine. Ordered a Makermade CNC500. They had them on pre-sale, and I just picked one up because it was really cheap. And it's manufactured by the same company, sort of, that makes this. Regardless, it uses the same clamp and the same router. I have two of these routers. Boom. And I already got the clamp because they shipped that ahead of time. This came from here. This came from China. But anyways, this showed up today. CNC500 version 1. So let's open it up and see what's in the box. This should be pretty fun. Alright, I hope you can see, and if you can't hear me, just raise your hand and I'll speak up. Foam. It's not packing peanuts, so that's good. Alright, let's see. Left to right. What do we got here? We got stickers. It's always good. Here's the manual. Two of those. If you want to see the manual, scan that with your phone. I looked for the manual earlier today and couldn't find it. Guess that makes sense why. SanDisk Edge, 8 gig. So that's cool. Standard power cord. Thread locker. It must be saying something. USB. Short little guy. Hardware bag. It says hardware bag. Fixture plate with bag 11, whatever that means. What else? More foam. Ooh, shiny. Pretty cool. Sorry you can't see what I can see. You'll see in a second. What's this doodad? What's the Z? We got up and down limit switches. Fancy. Alright, what else? We got another stepper motor. And we got the Maker base. Let's see, a speaker. EXP1 and 2. This is the screen. Cool. Cool. Power supply. Yep. Power brick. Foam. Got a little bit, so it's not damaged. Okay. I'm gonna move this stuff to the side and slide this thing out because it's not exactly light. But this is dangerous. Not to knock everything over. Oh, I see. Okay. Hold on. Now I can do this. That makes more sense. Alright. So they got this packed inside of there. And then we got... Oh, okay. Now I get it. That looked like all one big kit and caboodle. And it was not. It says caution, cables are fragile. One more. Anything else? Foil board. Look at that. Cut it in half so it fits in the box. That's slick. It's a lot of stuff, but it's not that much. This should go together pretty quick. Alright, I'm going to pull up the directions online. Read them thoroughly before I begin, because that's what you should do. I hope everybody took that test in college at least once, where the very last question said, write your name, turn it in, you get an A. So I'm going to read all of those. I'll open and null all this stuff and kind of get this set up in the way that I think it's going to go together, because, you know, it's a square with a gantry, so it sort of makes sense. Yeah, be right back. Well, That just takes you to the product page. And I've already seen the airport.
I already seen the airport.
So that doesn't do me any good. So I'm going to email them and ask them if I can please get a copy of the instructions. And while I'm waiting for them to respond, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do and know all this stuff. So yeah, back to it. Old-ish. I'm not going to open any of these bags because I'm going to leave this overnight until I get the email with the instructions. I'm going to dig around too. I've been on their site a bunch. I never found it. So I don't think it's hidden on there. But maybe I can sort it. But yeah, this thing's pretty slick. A little fan, a little tiny emergency. Shut off. Main power switch. Just power supply, blah, blah. All this wiring. So screen's gotta live over here, and then there's gonna be some things that go in between here and there, which are most likely probably those. And this probably goes in the middle, yep, because that goes like that and that goes like that. So yeah, I might just get started, honestly, because, you know, that's gonna be the screws for the frame. So 4 of those, 6 of the 8, yep. And then those will be for the wasteboard, and then these are for those feet, and Z-axis. I mean, everything's labeled very nicely, and it seems like good hardware. Yeah, whatever. I'm gonna get started. I'm at least gonna put all that together. I won't Loctite anything, but I'll at least get started. Let's do that. Not a whole lot to that first part. I would definitely recommend putting the feet on these first while they're loose. It was just harder once it was all together. I didn't Loctite these because I'm gonna assemble everything, loosen all the major bolts, give it kind of a twist and a shake, and put it down on a very level surface. There's actually glass underneath here, so when I'm done, remove the cardboard, blah blah. But do all that later, and then I'll Loctite everything one at a time as I go around and tighten everything down. But I'm gonna call it here for right now because like I said, I don't have the rest of the instructions, and I could keep going along and figuring it out, but you know what happens when you do that is you miss something, and then you got to go back like 7 bags and figure it out, and it's just a big waste of time. So I'd rather do it right than do it twice. So yeah, back at it later. Back at it. They actually emailed me back about 45 minutes. So they emailed me back and gave me all the instructions. Lo and behold, too, they're actually really nice instructions. But like I was saying, where is it? Come on. So they have you build the base and then put the feet on. Yeah, probably should have done that anyways. I made that a little bit more awkward than it needed to be. I will say this, though. Regardless of which path you choose, loosen these to get these to line up. It's just, everything's a little, you know, it's sheet metal and extruded, so just gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah. Try not to crush that. Sorry about that. Anyways, now that I have the instructions, I'm going to continue on. I'm going to re-knoll some of this stuff and throw the time lapse back on. Let's build a CNC machine. Let's get this done. Let's get this thing making some noise and some chips. It's going to be cool. All right, got this all together, the gantry anyways, and be moving on to the Z next. Quick point to note, and they actually note this too, these go up, and the reason those go up is because of the way this guy attaches here. See? It's clarenced out in the back there for that, so I'm gonna work on this next. Pull all this apart and get that doodad on there, and then while it's apart you actually go through the back here with those 4 bolts, and then that'll be bolted onto that. And then it looks like it's wiring and stuff, like all this stuff gets plugged in. This isn't complicated. If you've made a 3D printer, like if you've bought an Ender or anything like that, one of those kind of mostly assembled 3D printers where you build it yourself, that's definitely where I would categorize this. And it's very similar. I mean, it's extruded aluminum. It goes zip, zip, zap like that. You know, it's probably the same control board. It actually looks like some crossover parts. I mean, these look very similar to the contact switches that I have on my 3D printer. But anyways, all right, let's go. We're here from the future with a tech tip. I may do another video. In fact, I really should do another video on like what to do after the machine's made, because I definitely just kind of draw the rest of the owl. I've noticed as I'm editing this today. So there might be a future video on exactly like how to put material in there, how to zero it out, how to make something. I'll show you how to design something small. Honestly, I assume if you're watching this, you kind of know all that, and maybe that's bad for me. I digress. I'm here to tell you about the wobble. So this can move around. Mine's not moving around because I got it figured out. But these are eccentrics, just like on a 3D printer. So there's 3 of them here, and there's 3 of them across the back, like I was just talking about. When you get this gantry on, you're going to want to adjust these so that this is tight and it doesn't wobble. When you get this on, you're going to want to adjust those so it's tight and it doesn't wobble. I didn't mention that, so I just want to mention that. Anyways, I'll let you get back to it. Thanks. You can either thread this down, just turn the motor over and thread it all the way down. I started doing that. It was taking a long time. Instead, I just loosen those 2 set screws, just like they have on the X-axis. You can just loosen these 2, and then the threaded rod will actually just drop out the bottom, and then this whole cage is free. I want to point out a few things here. 1, you don't have to pull all this apart like I thought. In fact, the tolerance here is just fan-fucking-tastic. It's wild how close they got all, I mean, whatever. They did a good job. So you can get those bolts in just fine. I'm not worried about it at all. And again, I'm using a 91 mil clamp. If you're building this with the included motor, you'll be attaching this critter here. And it looks like this guy, I don't know, goes on there somehow. But don't really care. So yeah, got this attached to that. You do have to get this orientation right. Obviously, it doesn't go with the motor down, blah, blah. That's pretty easy. And like I mentioned earlier, just make sure those bolts are up. These don't look like they're going to be hard to get to, so thread lock those and throw those on. And then the screen goes on, and then cabling and whatnot, and this thing's chugging right along. It's super easy. Man, all aboard the struggle bus. So the instructions in this part aren't very clear. I figured it out, like where we were looking at and stuff like that, and so that kind of helped here a little bit. But then I'm tightening this one, and you saw it just fell off. So I was like, well, that's weird. And I got this one to work, and then I'm going and I'm like threading and threading and threading and threading, and I realize these either aren't tapped or there's so much paint in there that they're just not even threads anymore. I mean, it's just a thing. So I'm going to find a really tiny tap, and I'm going to tap this, or just probably send those home, honestly, with a different tool, and then get that on. This is fiddly. This has been the fiddliest part of this entire build. So I would suggest mounting these first and then putting them on there. In fact, on this side, you have to, because there's just no way to get a tool in there. And I mean, you can, but whatever. It's just going to make life harder. Put these on there. Put those on there. So I'm going to go tap this. Be right back. Disappointed. To say the least. I got to put a zip tie on here to hold this thing together, and it's brand new. So yeah, those were definitely not tapped. I thought I had the right size tap, but I don't. 2 of them I was able to just ram home, and they're machine thread, so I mean, you shouldn't be doing stuff like that. But I guess you could use zip ties. Hopefully yours come tapped, but you could use zip ties. You could use machine, or not machine screws, but like sheet metal screws to just go in there or something like that. Super minor.
I'll tell you from experience, drag chains are horrible.
I'm batting 1,000 here. This, I don't know how I didn't miss that. Don't do that. Apparently this is supposed to come back through here and go over to this motor. I don't know why I had it coming out of that. I mean, I didn't do that. It was just that way. So I gotta fix that. What else have I noticed? These ribbons aren't labeled, so 50-50 on that one. Those screws could be just a little bit longer, and then you're going to want to be careful. There's 2 extra plugs here, one for the laser and one for the Z-probe. They just kind of come out the bottom. You can smash them if you're moving this around and you're not careful. So, yeah, I'm going to... This is unfortunate. I just have to take the whole thing apart to get that cable out, so I'm going to do that. But I'm not going to film it. Let's fix this. I want to show you what I had to do here. So the wire was coming out in between this extrusion and the chassis here. And you can see it actually already started cutting through the wire. Because, I mean, that's really sharp. This is really sharp. Everything's really sharp. So anyways, I had to loosen all this. And you actually have to get this chassis up off of here to get enough room down in here to fish the plug through and get all this out. And then this is just going to dingle-dangle back here in the back of the machine. I'm definitely going to probably, I don't know, 3D print something to go in these channels, at least hold it like 1 or 2 spots, because I don't plan on moving it around, but still, it's an important wire to just be chilling like that. So anyways, I'm going to put this all back together correctly. We'll keep rocking. And it's back together. I went ahead and leveled all this out, Loctited everything like I said I was going to do at the end of it, and you might notice that this doesn't line up anymore. I flipped this board when I put it back together because these were actually cut asymmetrical, and I just followed the screen printing, but I noticed that these were actually shifted. So this distance is different front to back. Looks like there's actually a little bit more length on the back of the spoil board. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to be fixturing mostly square work. And so if my fixtures were like this, that would just get old. So did that. I'm going to plug it in now, I think. Grab all that nonsense. And then it came with a little SD card with a test program on there, but we'll run a home program and all that other stuff and see. I'm expecting this screen to be somewhat similar to 3D printing in that regard. But let's do some power. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Ooh. Clicky, clicky. Wild. So that's just for the Wi-Fi, which is neat. Control. Should we just try and move it? Just break it right away. Okay, so 10 mil increments. That's pretty cool. Let's come back this way. Can we come back this way? Hey, positioning success. That fan is something. Do you really need all that fan? High speed, low speed. Ooh, high speed. 10 mil, 0.1, 1 mil, 10 mil. So it only goes in 10 mil. So let's see. So that's high speed, low speed, squeaky, squeaky. Okay. They were off like 20 mil. So I just had to get my hand down in this one. It's the only one you can, and just turn that screw by hand. So let's see if she's still squeaky. Yeah, listen to that. It's doing its thing. I don't have a great piece of wood for a test cut. At least not with the included NC. And honestly, I don't really care. It's going to be a square that's 10 mils deep. Like, that's not hard. So I'm thinking we cut some wood end fences. That'll be fun. So I'm gonna fixture that up, go inside and whip up a program real quick, and we'll come out and get a router on this guy here, find another extension cord, and then make a hell of a mess because there's no dust collection on this thing, so it's just gonna and just send stuff everywhere. But I'll take some thickness measurements off of this, and we'll be right back and make some stuff. I must say, I'm pretty impressed. As far as assembly, onboarding, and, you know, cutting something, this was pretty darn painless. Let me get this thing out of the way. A few things, you know, but I don't think they're like problems. I think they're quirks. I think they're just a relationship with the machine. They're all a little different. The Z-homing, you know, blowing its brains out and doing the reset and the zero, like when it hits a limit switch, I don't know what's going on there, but, you know, just keep it off the limit switches and then it won't do that. So one thing I did notice, you know, right away, depending on what router you have, this, you could come into contact with this left side here too. Also, since there's no safety switch on this side, you better have the machine set up properly and make sure that you're not trying to cut something, you know, over here. So definitely use stock boxes and bound it however you need to when you're programming. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's fine. I don't know what I'm talking about either. But I'll pull this thing off. So now this plywood, like I was saying, a lot of different thicknesses. And I use the double-sided tape. And some blue tape just to, so I don't have to deal with tabs. I really hate dealing with tabs. So that is like, boom, spot on. I mean, I am thoroughly impressed. So this stuff, you know, it's balsa wood thin. Like I was saying, the sheet has some varying thickness, you know, so it's just, what are you making and what are you doing with it? You know, it's plywood. It's not going to be very precise, but this was perfect for this test. So, and let's see, one last thing. Not bad. Man, that's cool. This is going to make things a lot easier. I really like it. That's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this. It's been very different for me. I don't normally bring people into this world. It's just me out here most days. So, yeah, if you like what you see, please make sure to do the blah on the thing. So, yep, bye.